Good morning. It's Joshua Taylor coming to you from here on Vancouver Island, the first day of February. And when I woke up this morning, just before waking up, I was snuggling in with the Lord and just bathing in His presence. And the Lord gave me a download, quite a big download. He gave me the understanding of my past, the different things that have happened, and all that, and to help me to put the pieces together concerning the times that we are in. And the Lord does nothing in your life without having a reason. And so we go through a lot of things in our life, not having full understanding. And but there comes a time where God will give us understanding concerning our walk. So when we look back over our shoulder, we can see that God's hand was in it. And so I got up, went for a walk, took Max for his walk. That's my dog, and came back, and the Lord said to write. So I spent the last hour and a half right now an introduction to a new series that I'm going to entitle The Revelation of Jesus Christ. And so this is just the introduction. I've already written the article concerning uh, what many say is going to take place this coming September, 23rd of September, that we're coming to the end of the church dispensation, that God's about to do a new thing. He's about to bring forth the unveiling of his kingdom within a people. And to set a precedence, I need to turn your attention to what took place in my life going back to Bernie, Missouri, to 19. Actually, where's the date here? Back in 1993, the 16th of May. And at the time, I was making a trip back to Benton, Missouri to see John Marshall in that, and I helped build a house for him back in 86. The Lord opened up a door to travel to the States and help them get them started. They went back to their roots. They spent 14 years in community under the Sam Fife community in Upsala, Ontario. And when I went there, it was my third visit that I was going back to these end time farms, and he asked me, well, would you help drive truck, down to Missouri? And at the time, I was hoping to be able to see David Terrell after my work was finished, and with John Marshall helping him to build his house. But anyway, on one of the visits back, I think it was my third visit back to Benton, Missouri, that I met a sister in the Lord. Her name was Judith, and as soon as we uh, met each other, the Spirit of the Lord was stirred within her, and I shared about the work that I was doing on the places of refuge, the diagrams that I had at that time. I had a big scroll of drawings, and she confirmed it, and she said this is what she saw in the spirit, above the earth, waiting to come down. Anyway, uh, John Marshall, they lived in Benton, and they were holding meetings in Bernie, Missouri, and this is where Judith lived along with another Judith and a few other sisters and brothers. So we had a small meeting, small home meeting, maybe a dozen people at most. And the Lord asked Judith if she would pray for Joshua, to pray for me for the Lord to bring forth a man-child, to birth a man-child in me. And this was back in '93. And maybe I could just show you a picture. This is actually what took place, the big shaft of light that actually took place. We were, she went through 4 or 5 weeks of birthing, for hours on end, for hours at a time, 3, 4, 5 hours during the day for 4 or 5 weeks. She stood in the gap, and she's praying for me that God would do a work in my heart to birth a man-child. Anyway, it all came to an end, to a climax. This one day, we're sitting in this house meeting, and I sat next to her, and I felt something happen inside. Something was welling up, and our spirits became joined together. Our souls became joined together, linked together somehow. And what we experienced together, there was this shaft of light opened up, this portal opened up, and we rose from the earth up into the heavenlies. The Lord caught me back up. Back then, that the birth took place. Ever since that time, I've been going through hell. Believe me, all kinds of trials and tribulation, but anyway, there's 2 words that followed. I'm just going to read you one word. And so this video is to set a precedence for this article, this first posting of the series of the revelation of the Lord. And this was at just immediately after this birthing took place. The Lord says, "Fear not, yea, I will say unto you this day, for it is not a strange thing what has happened here. Strange to the world, but it will not be strange to you, saith the Lord. For who can understand the things of the Spirit, lest ye be walking in the Spirit? But verily I say unto you this day, ye have birthed, and the day will come, and the season will come, and the time will come, for you to have full understanding. For it is not a mystery that I keep it from you, but it is for your own health, wealth, and reason. But for the time it will be a mystery, but it will be unveiled, and then you will say, Well, it was no strange thing. Yea, I have truly called you here this day, and you shall see by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Don't fret, don't worry. I have it all in my hands, and it is in my control that you will soon rule and reign with me as you begin to walk out onto the water, not ankle deep, not even knee deep, but until it engulfs you. And there shall be times when you think that you will drown, but I will never leave you, saith the Lord. So this happened 30 years ago, approximately, and since that time it's been kept a mystery until this morning. And the Lord was showing me, not really showing, it's hard to put some things into words, what the Lord gives you. But when I was just being absorbed in the Lord's presence this morning, I didn't feel the presence of the Lord coming down like this. I felt His presence rising up from deep inside me, and like His life was beginning to birth up, and this is what took place 30 years ago. I felt that birthing, that rising up into into the heavenlies, into the very presence of the Lord. And since that time, and it's been trial upon trial, staying in this trailer, especially for the last year and a half. It's just been trial upon trial. It's been the hardest time in my life. And so this morning, when I felt the presence of the Lord, rise up, it's like I've gone through it before, but I never really understood it. And I knew that the presence of God was breaking through, was breaking through the soul realm. And this morning, I felt a light on my face. I felt the glory of the Lord in my face. And but the Lord brought this prophecy back to my remembrance, and He said, "Today is the day that it would no longer be a mystery to you." So what's been held back all these years, the Lord said that He would reveal it in His time, and that time has come today. That's why I wrote this article. And the majority of the church, they don't have an understanding of Revelations 12, and there's some that are doing a good work to bring out the various events about the 1260 days, 1235 days, 1290 days, the time when the beast shall rise up as the man of perdition, the time when the sacrifices will start, and the two witnesses coming on the scene. This can all be established in the scriptures in this 7-year period known as the time of Jacob's troubles. And I believe right now that we're in the preliminary stages of this man-child being birthed, and that God is doing the final work, an unseen work, and those who have come to a place of maturity, that He's going to bring them into their rest. But it's up to us, and so when you realize that, when your eyes are open, like the Lord opened my eyes this morning, it doesn't matter about the trials and the tribulation. And there have been distractions trying to take away, that Satan has been running interference to take you away, to get your focus off your call and election. And our call and election is to rise up and to be transformed into the very image and likeness of Jesus Christ. Not only that, but come into the fullness of His rest. And it's begun. And now looking back, I can understand when the Lord showed me the sign of the beast rising up out of the water. I don't know the time frame. I don't know whether it's at the beginning of the 1260 days, which would be this coming September, or it's toward the midpoint. And that would establish also the events that's going to take place on the West Coast. With the destruction of the West Coast, the volcanoes going off. So I don't know when this destruction on the West Coast is going to happen, but it will happen. I just don't know whether it's at the early beginnings of the 7-year period or at the midpoint. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that we're ready for what the Lord is about to do. David Terrell, God's prophet to the world, has said a number of times that there will be a man-child revival, a dead raising revival here on the West Coast. And but as a sign that God will send forth a mega earthquake as a sign of this dead raising revival. And I believe we're just before that time. That's going to happen this year. And this is going to bring forth the birth of the man-child. There's lots to write. There's lots of dots. When the Lord dropped that understanding into my heart this morning, I was able to connect events and different things that's happened in my life, and that's why I'm sharing this series. And so I just started today by writing this first article and sharing in the book here what happened in the past will help to establish a foundation, precedence for writing the series. And for what the Lord's about to do is new. It's beyond what the denominational church understands. The church is not the fulfillment. It's not the fulfillment of what God's going to do. The church is just bringing in a new order, bringing forth a kingdom people that's going to represent. They're going to be children of the seventh day. The church dispensation is coming to a close, and we need to be ready to receive this last day's outpouring. Okay, going to end here. I'm over my 15 minutes. This is Joshua Taylor coming to you from here in Vancouver Island.